Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, the podcast where we bring you inside the world of joint ventures, strategic partnerships, and powerful collaborations. Each episode, you'll dive into conversations with top entrepreneurs, visionaries, and business leaders, unlocking the secrets to building profitable relationships that drive growth and success. Whether you're looking to expand your network, find new referral partners, or scale your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started. What is up, man?
What's up, buddy? How you been?
Shawn Walsh in the house. I've been good, man. I've been really, really good. Super excited to have you on. Y'all are just kicking ass and taking names over there in Arizona, and super happy for you to be on. I'm going to get you to give me your 2-minute backstory on how you got to where you got, and then we'll just continue that conversation on down.
You bet. It's kind of a bit of a twisting path on how I arrived at where I'm at now. But I just finished serving 20 years in the military. As you know, I retired back in August, so just about 3 months ago. During that time, I was a fighter pilot, flying F-16s most of the time, and loved it. It was a lot of fun. But my background was actually in numbers, engineering and mathematics, and I've always loved numbers and finance and stuff. So in my final couple years on active duty, I went back to school, and I went to Columbia Business School, and I went through their CFO program. All the while, my wife and I were building our businesses. We have a number of businesses. We're based in Phoenix, Arizona. Our main business is New Frontier Immigration Law. It is the 859th fastest growing small business in America on the Inc. 5000 list just recently.
Wow.
We are the 11th fastest growing law firm and the fastest growing in Arizona. So we've been doing a lot with that business. And all the while I was still on active duty, I was part-time helping Hillary, build the law firm and our subsequent businesses that we call our ecosystem, other things that kind of made up with the law firm. So when I finally retired, I came full-time at the law firm, and I'm now the CFO of our companies, as well as a social media creator, which is actually pretty new for me. And we, like I said, we have a number of businesses. So that's kind of my backstory in a nutshell.
Very cool, man. And right at 2 minutes, or actually under 2 minutes. I always give people 2 minutes because, like, if you don't, they will give you like a 30-minute backstory. And I'm like, yeah, but we got other questions. All right. So you guys grew and scaled this immigration law firm specifically, right? Like immigration specific?
Correct.
Talk to me about how you guys approached the scaling process with an immigration firm, right? Because like you see law firms growing like PI, because those are like high income, cases that come in and like really, explode these businesses. And you guys are, exploiting this, exploding, this immigration firm. And I want to know like how you guys did it. Was it systems? Was it the sales approach? Was it marketing? Was it all of it?
So when we first began, the number one thing that we did on the day we opened I say we, but I'm going to give Hillary most of the credit here because she's phenomenal. And, the joke that men don't stop and ask for directions. Well, on day one, Hillary said, I'm going to open a business, so I'm going to hire a business coach. And at that moment, we hadn't made a single dollar yet. And when we paid for that first business coach, it was literally the most expensive thing we'd ever paid for in our lives. Up to that point, I guess maybe we'd owned one house years earlier, but so we make this commitment, and we went back and forth about it a lot. And what we landed on was, if all we do is learn a whole bunch in this process and make back this money that we're putting into a business coach, this will have been worth it. We'll have learned a lot, and it will be cool. So backing up just a little bit, this was 2018. We had just moved back from overseas. We'd been living overseas for 5 years with the military, and Hillary couldn't really work while she was overseas. So what she did was take pro bono cases through the Ninth Circuit out in San Francisco. And she did phenomenal taking these immigration cases, and she was passionate about it and loved it. So when we landed back on the shores of America, she said, I don't want a boss. I want to open my own company. Now we came to Phoenix, Arizona from England at the time. And before that, we were in Korea. And when we landed in Phoenix, we didn't have any business contacts. We're not from Phoenix. We had zero clients, zero even like friends. We didn't even have church friends or business acquaintances, nothing at all. And on day one, she said, I'm going to open a law firm. So we hire a business coach and we get started. And I would say to anyone getting started, that was the single best investment that we made at the beginning. And I'm not selling coaching services for the record. I'm just saying that changed everything.
Sure.
Because right away we started viewing it as a business, and every business has a lot of the same parts and pieces to it. So when you're building a business, it doesn't matter what product it is that you're selling. You still have to have sales and marketing. You still have to have an operations. You still have to have physical plant. You have to have all these pieces of a business in order to make it run. And so for us, when we first began, we viewed it more of a business than a law firm. There's statistics out there about how many law firms go out of business in the first 3 years. And most of the time it's because people are really, really good attorneys. They learned how to be an amazing attorney at law school, but no one taught them how to run a business. And running a business is what a law firm is. And so we treated it as a business from day one. And that allowed Hillary and me to scale it very quickly using just really sound business principles.
Yeah, 100%. Or who's the coach?
The first coach that we hired was how to manage a small law firm. And they were, as the name implies, that is exactly who they are designed for. And we had a great experience. Nothing but good things to say about our time there. After probably 2 years or so, we had scaled to a point where we were ready to, move to the next level. And that's when we moved over to 8-figure firm. That was our second business coach. 8-figure firm took us to 8 figures in probably a little under 2 years. And they were also phenomenal coaching service out there. And now we've signed on with our next level, which is with Cardone Ventures, and we're doing their platform and their small business unit program.
Very cool. Yeah, I think if you guys are looking for a shortcut and just like preventing yourself from running into a wall over and over and over again, I think having a business coach is just key, right? To like scale.
Yeah. And I'll mention, you said before, like you see PI firms and stuff growing rapidly. There's a Dan Sullivan, one of his books, I think it was 10X is better than 2X, but he says that so many times business owners start out and they look over the fence and they say, wow, look how green the grass is over there. And they think it's because it's easier over there, but it's just because on the other side of the fence, they're watering their lawn and they're fertilizing the lawn and they're, doing all the aerating, whatever. I'm not a lawn guy, but whatever it takes to have a really nice lawn, but they don't realize that they could have that too. So it's not like if you get started in law and you go, wow, that PI firm's doing so well, it doesn't mean you should switch to PI. You should get really focused on your area. And there's a need all over the place. For us, it's immigration. There is a huge need for immigration law in the United States. And so you can really focus in almost any area of business and be successful if you're very focused and, build out a sound business plan.
It's so funny that you said that, right? Because we've been a company that helps a bunch of people for a long time, right? Haunted history tours, Audi of New Orleans, personal injury, family law, whatever. And what we found was that I was the bottleneck of the company, because at every point of the sales and marketing process, it was like, Armando, where are we with this person? Armando, where are we with this person? And I was like, oh, so-and-so is here. So-and-so is there, blah, 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 blah. And like, I was preventing the growth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we started moving into strictly attorneys, right? Like we're just helping attorneys. Not to say that like we can't help other people, but like it just doesn't make sense for me to try and help other people when attorneys is something that we know very well, we can help, and we're just moving into that spot. Here's the beautiful thing about niching down is that now I'm no longer the bottleneck. So like sales team, they can take it and go because they know exactly what they need to do. My team, my customer journey is a lot more focused because like they know exactly what they need to do with these law firms. So it's just been such a beautiful thing. And I think law firms that are, that are going, hey, we can do personal injury, and then we can do estate planning, and then we can do real estate, and then we can do this. It's like, whew, all right, let's slow down and let's create focus. And then if people know you as the immigration law firm, which they do, and that's all you focus on, and that's all the marketing you put out, and it's super targeted, then you guys become the expert in that area, and then everybody starts following you.
Yeah, a great example of that, when we began, we were growing our case types because we would see, here's a new case type, and we'd say, wow, we can go do removal defense for this much per case, and we can knock these out in 1 week. And so we add that, and we did a lot of that, grabbing different cases. And we even now, I will say, we have 81 different offerings on our platform, basically our different immigration services. But 87% of our business comes from 5 case types. And that is what we market, and that is what we focus on. We've kept a lot of the others because when you hire for a case, and I'll give an example of a T visa, which is human trafficking victim. So T visa is our #1 case type. And it's amazing how many people, not amazing in a good way, it's terrifying how many people are out there who qualify for a T visa. But by really focusing on that and helping that demographic of people, there's a whole bunch of services they also need help with. And so those are the other case types that we continue to offer. But we've focused our marketing, we've focused our efforts on those 5 cases that now make up 87% of our revenue. And that is the 80-20 rule at play right there. I mean, it's almost exactly, so.
And it's a rule for a reason. I think people want to ignore it. They're like, oh, well, we could do all of this. And then what happens is, when you're not focused on the 20% that's paying you 80, and because you're off here in La La Land doing shiny object syndrome, you're spending so much time trying to figure that business out and trying to figure out how to help that company, when the people that you are helping and that you can help. I think we take that for granted because it's so easy that we as entrepreneurs, because we're visionaries and we have shiny object syndrome, that we get bored and we're like, oh, well, now I've got that mastered. Let me go fix this, when you can just go, hey, let me dive deep in this. Cause like you can create depth for a long time. You know what I mean? By just kind of going deep into how can I help this particular avatar all the time, every day, without fail, no exception. You guys get really good at doing that. And then you do become the specialist. And when you become the specialist, that's when people are paying you top dollar.
Yeah. And you nailed it when you said, because we're entrepreneurs. People with that entrepreneurial spirit are creators, visionaries, that it is something. And I don't want it to sound like, oh, we got this figured out, we only do this thing. Every single week, we have to remind ourselves of the 80-20 rule, because every week there's something new. There's like, oh, we could do this too. And we could add this on. And then next week there's something else. And it's like, oh man, look at this opportunity. We could totally crush this opportunity. And we probably could if we went after it. But we already have this incredible business that we've grown and worked on, and diving even deeper into our 80-20 rule on what we're already doing will allow us to really get to the next level. And you have to continually remind yourself that because there's a bright, shiny object every single week. And you just have to decide
what it's like almost daily.
Yeah.
It's like almost daily where it's just like, this. Completely. You know what I did? The impact filter? Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with from, I think it was Dan Sullivan's book, The Impact Filter? Yeah. So what I did was I took the impact filter, and it's a good way to filter ideas, right? It's a good idea to, like, when you're like, oh, I got this new opportunity, a new idea. Should I be doing this? I took the impact filter and I created a template in ChatGPT, and I go, hey, this is my impact filter. I'm going to give you ideas based on what we do and our specialty. And I want you to run this idea through the impact filter to show me whether or not it's going to be a good, venture, and whether I should be giving it attention or not. And like, it's just been mind-blowingly awesome, because it'll give you the facts and you're all like, yeah, you're right. This is like, it's going to take this much time to implement. I don't have the resources to do that right now. It's a good idea, but like, it's not even in the realm of what it is that we're doing. And it's just been, for me as a visionary, it's been so impactful, because I'm like, I just running through that thing and I'm like, all right, this is my discernment that I need. Because I'm like, I am just not high on discernment at all.
Yeah, we have the same thing. So I mentioned we have a number of businesses, and some of them we started out of need. Some of them we started a little bit out of bright, shiny object. One of them, we have a short-term rental business. And the reason we started it is we were bringing so many employees to Phoenix because we have employees all over the world. When COVID hit and a lot of people were shutting down, it normalized meeting your attorney on Zoom. So it allowed us to hire attorneys anywhere, which was really cool for us. It allowed us to really grow our business. So now we're constantly bringing employees to Phoenix for training for, a month at a time, for a week at a time, whatever it might be. So I started a short-term rental business because I said, well, we're already paying hotels like tens of thousands of dollars just to bring people to Phoenix. And the prices fluctuate in Phoenix so much. In the month of March, you're going to pay $15,000 to stay for a month, where in July you pay, like $1,200. So we got some properties, put out some Airbnbs, and when we're not using them for the business, we Airbnb them. It's actually been very profitable, but it doesn't apply to our 80-20 rule. So we're starting to close them down because although it's very profitable, it's not what we need to be spending our time on. And we did hire people and they're running it. We're just kind of changing it. But it's one of those things that it is a business that we own, and I still check in on once a week. But it's just not what our core is. So
yeah. So not to change gears completely, but sort of in line with what we're talking about, and the reason why I started this show, Partnership for Profit, specifically, is to talk about how partnerships, how joint ventures, referral partnerships play a big role in growing a company. And so I would like to know from you guys how you've been able to use partnerships in creating growth in your company.
Yeah, you bet. So our partnerships are non-monetary, and that is we actually are licensed out of Nevada, and so the State Bar of Nevada doesn't allow referral fees to be paid out for someone to refer clients to us. So we actually don't do direct referrals. If someone refers us a client, they don't get any money. But that doesn't mean we don't do a ton of partnership and outreach, and especially in our local community. I think it's been really helpful to reach out and become partners with a lot of other organizations. Last year, we started a nonprofit. It's called New Frontier Foundation. And the crux of that is we have all these clients. I already mentioned TV. So human trafficking is our number one client. And they need services. They need help, and they need counseling, and they need other types of services that just aren't offered many places in Phoenix. So we started New Frontier Foundation to offer those services. And that's been a really great opportunity to have outreach in the community, because it's clearly not for profit. It is just there to help people. And you said earlier that your mission, you are helping law firms or helping lawyers. And that is what we're doing too. I think when you bring your mission back to the value you add to people's lives or the value you add to the world, there's just so much more purpose behind it. And it makes collaborations and partnerships so much more valuable, because people are excited to work with you when you're bringing value. And that would be my biggest feedback for all the partners we've worked with, is when we bring value and they bring value, everybody wins, even if there's not a direct payment. And it's I think it's pretty easy to spot companies and people who are not there to add value, who are strictly there for the money and for the payday. And that's okay. I mean, they can do whatever they want to do, but that's not our brand, and that's not going to work well with our culture. And so we are very much about adding value to everybody that we collaborate with, everybody that we encounter.
You nailed it, right? Like, I just got back from a mastermind called Flight Club, and it's a marketing mastermind specifically. So a lot of the people there are marketing, in the marketing space. And what I'm noticing at like the top level, it's all about the collaboration. It's all about the partnerships in terms of like, hey, how can I provide value? And you got this environment of just like givers, and you're like, holy crap, I gotta give more. You know what I mean? Like, I gotta make sure that I'm in here like providing value, giving back. You know what I mean? And wow, what an environment to be in when that is the thing, right? That like creates the bar. It's like, no, I'm going to outgive you. Oh, you think that? All right. Well, and it's everybody up leveling and trying to one up each other on the giving aspect. And like, these people are just massive companies, like, $50-60 million in revenue, right? As a like marketing professionals. And I'm just like, it's amazing. Right. And so, yeah, if you're in a law firm, business, that's the thing that I think people often forget about, is what are you doing to give back? right? Like, what are you doing to provide value for the community that you're in, especially law firms, because they are so entrenched in the community right there? Like, I think it's extremely important that you need to align yourself with a nonprofit or start your own nonprofit, because that's your way of giving back. Like, that's the way of adding value and being present. And look, the side effect is you gonna get more business, right? Like, it's not why you're doing it, but it's just a beautiful side effect of doing that, right?
Yeah, you bet. I love the Mastermind with Michael Hyatt. He wrote Free to Focus, and he's got a whole platform of books. But I agree, in a mastermind environment, everybody's there to add value. And it does, sometimes I feel like, I don't know if I'm adding enough value. I'm getting so much out of this group. How can I add more? But I love the spirit of contribution, because we often say that we don't have any competitors. And it's not that there aren't other great immigration law firms. They're fantastic. There are so many people in America who are potential clients that we don't have any competition, because there's more than enough for everybody. And I always use the example of Walmart. When Walmart was at its peak as the largest company in the world, it only had 9% of the retail market. Like, it was the single largest company in the world, and it only had 9% of the retail market. For us, our goal this year for Phoenix is somewhere around 0.5%, 0.05%. It is a tiny shred of the available people out there just in Phoenix, not even in the entire country. So there are not enough immigration law firms to help everybody if everyone showed up tomorrow asking for help. So we don't have any competition. And with that mindset of, I'm not going out there to compete against somebody, I'm just going to go out there and do my best and provide as much value as I can to my clients. I'm going to set fair prices that, cover my costs and allow for a profit. All those things are just business fundamentals. And when you set it up that way and you don't view your neighbor as your competitor, it changes your outlook on everything you do.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why y'all are killing it, right? Like, that's why y'all are, at the top. I really love what you guys are doing. So give me a couple of stories from some of the people that you guys have helped. You don't have to name names, but just kind of give me some of the stories of some of the people and what their transformation has been like working with you guys.
Yeah, like I mentioned, our number one client is a trafficking victim. And the main demographic, the main client that we're working with are Hispanic males who were labor trafficked. And that is happening all over the country, way more than people realize. This summer, I visited some friends back home in New Jersey, where I'm from. And one of them was telling me a story about how the restaurant they worked at had all these men from Central and South America working in the kitchen, and they just lived in a 1-bedroom apartment upstairs. There was like 10 of them. Like, there is a 99% chance that they're being labor trafficked. And labor trafficking can be anything as simple as withholding a paycheck and threatening to call ICE, paying people well below standard living wages and threatening them with, I'll report you. That is all part of labor trafficking. People are brought here, or they've arrived here, and now they're being taken advantage of because they don't have status in the United States. So when we're able to get the papers for our clients, it is life-changing. You're not just changing their life, it's generational change, because their children and their grandchildren, everyone after them, is going to be able to live free and not live in fear in the United States. And I'm passionate about it because I'm a first-generation American. My dad is an immigrant. And so being able to live here in America, like, it's amazing, right? This is the greatest country in the world, I think. And so people being able to live here free is just a huge passion of ours. And when it comes to human trafficking, it's happening all over the place. People don't realize how much it's happening. But we are signing up almost 100 people a month on human trafficking. And we don't advertise this, but we currently have a 100% success rate. It's because we screen so hard along the process at various different levels to see if they're truly qualified for this T visa. So by the time we submit it to the government, we clearly know that they are qualified for this. And so it's pretty wild that how many people there are that need that help.
Y'all are doing the God's work.
Yeah, well, it's you mentioned it, like with a nonprofit, one of our core values is legacy. And so when we look at what is the legacy we're building, what are we building for our kids, for ourselves, for our country, for the future? What are people going to look back and say about us long after we're gone? Probably nothing, honestly, but that's okay. But what is the impact we're making and the difference we're making? And that is why one of our core values is legacy. So,
yeah. So how do people find you?
Yeah, so I mentioned social media, and if I can plug that real quick, I have my own passion project, probably another bright, shiny object, but I'm passionate about it. And that is financial freedom in the military. And so I started social media videos in June of this year, I guess. So it's been a couple of months. It was right before I retired. Up to that point, the military don't mind if you do social media. It's just, I don't know, nobody really does it. So there's not that many military people out there making social media content. So my thing, and like at the very core level of it, is this. If you join the military tomorrow, I can tell you with 99% accuracy, every dollar you're going to make for the next 20 years. If you want to retire a millionaire, it's just a math problem. And I know the math problem. And you can retire a millionaire serving in the military. And the more we get the word out to the 18-year-old kid who's about to join, to instead of buying a Corvette and video games with your first couple of paychecks, maybe invest it a little bit, because the money you invest at age 18 is going to be worth $88 at retirement. But if you wait until you're 28, that money's only worth $28 at retirement. The compound interest that you're going to get, and it's mentioned in the beginning, finance is one of my passions, but communicating to the next generation that you can set yourself up for success if you start early. In fact, you're better off investing from 18 to 28 and stopping. Don't invest another dollar. Rather than starting at 28 and investing until you retire, you'll never catch up on that money you missed out on. And what most people don't realize is when you're 18, it might not feel like you're making all that much money, but you're probably not married. You probably don't have kids. If you're in the military, you're probably living on base. Your food and your housing is paid for. Like, you don't realize it, but actually you have a lot of extra income at the moment. It might not feel like it. So getting the word out to the next generation has been one of my passions. So I started making social media videos with a focus on financial freedom in the military, as well as flying. And what I found is people like the flying videos. Go figure.
Yeah, of course.
It's been really interesting to grow it. But as of this week, I've got 190,000 followers in 3 or 4 months. Yep. And I didn't pay for any followers, nothing like that. Just started putting videos out. And that's on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. I didn't have any following before that. I didn't even have a TikTok or YouTube account. I had to create one. And so I've got about 60, 70,000 followers per platform right now. And I put out videos daily. They're about, 1 or 2 a week are on financial freedom. The rest are on flying and stuff like that. I try to keep a real positive vibe. But that's one of my passion projects. And so I just
That's awesome.
That. It's real Shawn Walsh. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. So you can find me there. If you like the videos, subscribe. And I love talking about finance and flying.
Heck yeah, man. Well, I appreciate you being on. You guys check out the real Shawn Walsh. Super interesting. We didn't even get to touch on the accidental superpower, but we'll have to come back and do another session where we can just talk about that book, because that's
phenomenal book, right?
Phenomenal book.
And there's a whole section about immigration in there too that really gives you a different perspective of immigration and how it can actually really help our economy and our demographic pyramid.
Yeah, because people are not, they don't even know. They don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
Read that book, by the way.
Everyone should read that book.
The Accidental Superpower, 100%. Well, Shawn, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for being on the show, and we'll see you soon.
You bet. Thanks, Armando. Good to see you, buddy. Take care.
See you. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Partnerships for Profit. We hope you've gained valuable insights on how to form profitable partnerships and take your business to the next level. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got a partnership story to share or someone you'd like to see featured on the show? Reach out to us. Until next time, keep building those partnerships for profit.